Good morning. Please remain standing. The band sounds awesome this morning. Thank you all for being here. Please join us this morning for the Apostles' Creed. We believe in God the Father Almighty, creator of heaven and earth, and in Jesus Christ, his only Son, our Lord, who was conceived by the Holy Spirit, born of the Virgin Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried. He descended into hell, and on the third day he rose again. He ascended into heaven, and is seated at the right hand of God, Father Almighty. There he will come to judge the living and the dead. We believe in the Holy Spirit, the Holy Catholic Church, the communion of saints, the forgiveness of sins, the resurrection of the body, and life everlasting. Amen. And please join us for our song of worship, so please remain standing for Even So Come.
just as communication is more than words said, but rather a relationship developed, so is prayer. Prayer is not give me, give me, give me, thank you, thank you, thank you. Prayer is a relationship developed with Jesus. So when we pray, we're deepening that relationship. I'm not going to read all the names that are on here because in my relationship with Jesus, I've already told him all this, and he knows. He reminds me not to tell him how to do his job. So, dear God, I lift up to you the people on this list. I will mention two specifically. One is Joe Chalmers, who is doing 100% better and will be coming home soon, and Julia Fluke, who had her surgery, but it was successful, and yet she had to go back in for breathing problems. So Jesus, all of those, plus all the other people on this list, we lift up to you. Lord, we ask you to deepen the relationship of each person on this list and all the people who love them. Because if we develop that relationship, dear Jesus, we will deepen our trust in you. And we will trust that you know what you're doing. Jesus' ways, Jesus, are way bigger than ours, way broader than ours. We don't understand, Jesus, why sometimes when we say, please heal so-and-so, you don't seem to do it. And yet, if we trust in you, we know that you know the situation. And Jesus, you are working in their heart. You're working in their soul. And you're working in our hearts and our souls. So Jesus, what we ask of you this morning is that you deepen our trust in you. That you deepen our relationship with you. So then when we lift these people up, we will know that you have answered our prayers. In Christ's name we pray. Please join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Please stand for Cornerstone.
My hope is built
the struggles that COVID has brought to this church is how to still remain as active in the community as we like to be. And it is my understanding that we have been successful with that, with God's blessings, and have remained having the farmers markets and the food pantry, both of which have received quite a bit more traffic, just due to the fact that people are struggling right now. So as we're considering offering, treasure, time, and talent this morning, we do have some different options available for you. We use those funds to be able to sustain this facility as well as reach out into the community and be able to continue to offer the services that the community needs now more than ever. So we can do the e-church offering, which is through the website, correct? So you just you click on the donate now, and you can submit that way through a debit card. You can mail something in. Someone is still here checking the mail every day. And if you're here physically today, there's a basket at the back. We're not going to pass around for obvious reasons, but there is a basket. You can also do a text donation now to the 719-223-705. And thank you for your contributions to allowing us to continue on God's work. And please join us for the amazing works. James 11.
The letter is from Paul to the Philippians, chapter 1, verses 27 to 30. Whatever happens, conduct yourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ. Then, whether I come and see you or only hear about you in my absence, I will know that you stand firm in one spirit, contending as one for the faith of the gospel, without being frightened in any way by those who oppose you. This is a sign to them that they will be destroyed, but that you will be saved, and that by God. For it has been granted to you on behalf of Christ not only to believe on him, but also to suffer for him, since you are going through the same struggle you saw I had, and now hear that I still have. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer.
Most of you didn't know this last week, but it's been so long since I have preached in front of people, and colder people from town use the camera. But having people at the sanctuary was such a new thing for me last week that I started to have kind of a panic attack before I got to preach. It's like, there's people here, And I haven't had that happen to me, I don't think, since I started preaching, close to 40 years ago. But it's so good to have all of you here, to see your faces, to even though we can't, okay, let's do it. Everybody, right hand over your left shoulder, other hand over your other shoulder. Oh, squeeze, there you go. Yeah, doesn't that feel good? So, I'm so glad, too, that the team sang My Chains Are Gone, Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace is just such a fabulous song. I don't know how you know this, but you can actually play Amazing Grace on just the black keys on the piano. Did you know that? You can. In fact, it was originally written that way, the tune for it. It was a borrowed tune that originally was used among African slaves. Isn't that appropriate for a song like Amazing Grace? This morning I want to raise the question that the Apostle Paul raises as we look at Philippians chapter 1, beginning with verse 27. And this is where he has been sort of aiming. He has something he really wants to put in front of the Philippian church. And it's the question of, are they being worthy of the gospel? Remember that they're living in a time of uncertainty. There's lots of things going on. There's lots of trouble inside the church, outside the church. Paul is in chains. They're concerned about Paul. That the Roman authorities are getting tighter and tighter on their trying to control this Christian movement, these Christ followers. And so Paul writes to the Corinthian church and he says to them, whatever happens, conduct yourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Whatever happens. He's talked about he may be beheaded, he may be crucified, he is in chains. He could be set free the next day. He doesn't know what's going to happen. And so in that context, it carries some weight when he says, whatever happens, conduct yourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Okay, Tanner, I think I'm going to need your help back there. I couldn't remember how to spell cannery. I think I got canary. So, in your mind, don't picture little yellow birds. Picture me with hair about as long as it is now, 1977 or so, working in a cannery in Oregon, canning berries. And part of the job that I had was I led a puree crew. And I've told you, I think, maybe this story before. I was leading a puree crew. We were making, using berries to make puree that was sold to companies all over the world. And we got into a contest with the other shifts. I worked the 3 to midnight shift. And we got into a contest as to which shift could produce the most puree. And it's sort of a way I was using to motivate my guys to kind of hustle a little bit more. And so, they were at various points doing the things they needed to do. And I had the job of scooping out 5 gallons at a time and dumping it into a popper. They ran it through a series of screens that kept out the pulp and all that kind of stuff and sent the puree on. And it all had to happen really fast, and you kept the line going, and we were leading, we were about to really break the record and all that kind of stuff. And as I got down to the point in the bucket where I could speed the thing up by picking up the 50-gallon drum, getting on my shoulder and going like this and just getting a whole bunch of that in there. The problem is, as all of that berries kind of went down in there, I developed that there were some rocks and big sticks. And they hit those screens and shredded them. And that sent berry seeds up into the puree that was in the big tank that they were filling the 5-gallon buckets from. And that meant when that happened, we had to shut everything down. All of the puree that we had made that was up there had to be brought back down and run through again. Before that could happen, the millwrights had to come in. They had to take out all of those screens, figure out which ones had holes in them, and either replace them or weld them or do whatever it was they had or could do in order to get us up and running again, because time is money, right? You all understand that. So you'll understand, and I hope forgive me for what happened when the screens broke. I'm standing there with a 50-gallon drum on my shoulder going like this, and I can hear it break. And one other thing. The crew is around me, and if I'm right here, the crew is out here, the machine's up here, and behind me is 6 conveyor belts with a series of, usually it was elderly women standing sorting berries, good berries, bad berries, moldy berries, all that kind of stuff. And I never understood the reference, but for some reason, they call that the crow's nest. You'll get it underway home. And I'm standing there going like this, and when big glob of berries fell out, and that screen broke, one other thing. I'm a follower of Jesus. I've been walking with Jesus, and I had my quiet time every day. I prayed all the time. I was praying for my people I work with. I've been sharing Jesus with them at our lunch breaks or regular breaks, and they were asking me questions about Jesus, and they seemed to be pretty serious about it. And so hopefully you'll forgive me for what happened next. As the screen broke, and I had that 50-gallon drum on my shoulder, I went, oh, and I slammed it down onto the ground with the open end up. So that works as kind of a microphone, and it made a really, really loud noise. But over that loud noise could be heard the obscenity that I shouted. I'm not going to tell you which one, but it was bad. The entire road of up here, the crow's nest, they had to shut it down because all of the ladies up there stopped and went, oh! And all those berries were going by not getting sorted, and they had to be eventually taken back over and resorted. Everything in the whole place stopped because I made such a huge noise. There was no way of hiding it. It was out there. I had really won. And as the millwrights were trying to come in and take care of everything, their crew and I went out, and we were standing outside. I realized, man, I had really blown it. I said, guys, I'm really embarrassed. And I need an apology. Here I am, a follower of Jesus, a Christian, and I've been talking to you about accepting Jesus into your hearts and how he changes you, and how he forgives you for your sins, and I did that. All the whole crew, they had 4, maybe 5 on the crew, all of them looked at me and said, Will, all this time that you've been talking to us about Jesus, we didn't take it too seriously, but we can see that if Jesus forgives you, he'll forgive us. It's real to you. We want it to be real to us. Each one of us in Christ today. The question really, though, is about whether I was living a life worthy of the gospel. Now, some would say, and at that particular time of my life, when I slammed that down and just lost my temper and screamed out in obscenity, was I living a life worthy of the gospel? And some would say, no, I didn't think that I had. That's why I apologized. But let me share something with you. I think living a life worthy of the gospel happened when I apologized to my crew. When I, in humility, recognized that I was wrong and I needed to do something about that. And so I have since not necessarily forgiven myself, but hopefully deepened in understanding what it means. The Greek word for conduct yourselves. And the Greek word means be a good citizen, literally. And for the Greek and the Greek culture of Philippi, they would have understood that word to mean cooperation, interdependence, and out of those, each person, when I cooperate and do my best, along with those who I'm with, we raise the level of all of us. The potential of all of us is greater as we work together. And so Paul says to them, conduct yourselves, be a good citizen. Conduct yourselves. Paul is urging them to be citizens not just of Rome, because remember I shared with you when I began looking at this book of Philippians, that Rome had established Philippi as a colony, and it was a colony of veterans, basically. People who had served in the military for Rome were given land to farm and do whatever it is they wanted to. They built a town and called it Philippi after somebody named Philip. But they were not just citizens of Rome, they were super citizens. They were patriots. They had served, they had given their lives and service for Caesar. And when Paul is telling them to conduct themselves or to be good citizens in that sense, he isn't saying for them to be good citizens of Rome. He's saying be good citizens of the kingdom of God, which calls us into a different place. He called them into a different place. Okay, here. He says, be good citizens. Worthy. The Greek word for worthy that's used there means to bring into equilibrium or balance. In other words, make sure your walk matches your, well, not just your talk, does your walk match the gospel of Jesus Christ? You see, the guys that I worked with at the cannery, they were judging me as being not worthy of the gospel not being worthy of their attention, because they were seeing me be perfect. But when they saw me humble and seeking their forgiveness, they understood the gospel to be something that was worthy of their attention. Question for you. Have you ever evaluated a whole day, one whole day, from the time you got up to the time you went to sleep? Have you ever evaluated one whole day every action, every conversation, every movement, everything that you did, every action, everything in that whole day as to whether it matched the life of Jesus. You ever done that? I wonder, it hurts. When you see how your life, well, not for me, when I see how my life doesn't match up to the gospel, it makes me It says stand firm. The Greek term that he uses here is a term used by Roman soldiers to describe a stance they would take back to back. And when Roman soldiers were in that position, when they would get into their group of 8 or 10 or whatever it was, and stand back to back, everyone was protecting everyone else's back. And what they would form was something that couldn't be broken. As long as everyone held their position, as long as they stood firm as one group that could not be broken, but it required single-minded unity and focus. Single-minded unity. Interesting thought. What would it look like if really, in the ecumenical church, if we, all of us, grabbed a hold of the gospel so seriously that we had a single-minded unity and focus, that everything that we did all day long reflected on the kingdom of God. Not just us. But what would happen if every follower of Jesus in Pueblo West, in Pueblo County, in Colorado, lived with a single-minded unity that Jesus calls us to? Paul goes on to say, without being frightened in any way by those who oppose you. The Greek term is used for frightened. It's only used once in all of the New Testament. Only once. And it's a term that's used to describe horses that are flighty. Spook, the slightest noise or sound. And what Paul is saying is that we shouldn't be quick. The term we use today, many of us, knee-jerk, you ever heard that reaction? A knee-jerk reaction. And that's what Paul is saying. He's saying, don't just fly off the handle at everything that you hear or everything that you see. Don't immediately be frightened of those who oppose you and anything that you hear that you might interpret as being in opposition to the gospel. It says, let them spook you. Don't let fear control our responses. Some time ago, I did a sermon where I shared with all of you that I really believe that when we say things like, so-and-so made me angry. Well, so-and-so doesn't make us angry. So-and-so did something, and my choice was to react with anger. I could have chosen other responses. The same is true with fear. Such and such makes me afraid. No, you're choosing fear as a reaction to such and such. And that's part of what Paul is saying is don't be motivated by fear. Don't choose fear. In fact, what we should do is choose love. Now, we live in a world where folks want to fly off the handle about anything and everything. I got some feedback from some folks about, well, why are you making, and actually there's nobody who's been here. I always get feedback from people who aren't coming. Why are you making them wear masks? Well, I'm not making people wear masks. I'm wearing masks because I don't want to get others sick, and I'm asking others to wear masks so that they don't get others sick. If I choose love instead of fear, it changes what happens inside of me. because we respond in love, not out of fear. Sometimes, I get worried and I hear things being said and I worry, well, they're going to get all of the attention, or they're going to get all the resources, or they're going to get this or that, or this is being done for this group and that group. And when I'm responding that way, I'm responding out of fear, not out of love. You see, Jesus said he's really odd things. Like if somebody asks for your coat or your shirt, give them your coat too. If they actually ask for your coat, give them your shirt. Go above and beyond. Respond out of love. You see, being pro-life because of the sacred, be pro-life because of the sacredness of life, not because I fear God's judgment. Sometimes I hear people say, oh, we have to oppose this. We have to take this position as a church because if we don't, God's going to judge us. That's not a position of love. That's a position of fear. And so I want us all to begin to, especially during this time of, Black Lives Matter, of political unrest, of COVID-19. There's all kinds of things that feed into our fear. But I want to encourage you to respond to those inputs from a place of love. Paul says, I know that you will stand firm in one spirit, contending as one person for the faith of the gospel, without being frightened in any way by those who oppose you. This is a sign to them that they will be destroyed, and that you will be saved, and that by God. You want to affect the lives of people that you know and love. You want them to understand the gospel. Unity in the Spirit. All of us together living in unity, a life worthy of the gospel of Jesus Christ is a sign. It helps them to see that we are indeed touched by God, which I really think what Paul is trying to say there. And if you want them to experience that, if you want them to take the gospel as something that is worthy, you and I as a congregation, those of you who are watching out there on the YouTube, together we can change the world by standing firm as one. Not out of fear, not out of hatred, not even out of patriotism, but out of love for God and God's love for us. Paul says, for it has been granted to you on behalf of Christ, not only to believe on him, but also to suffer for him. This whole thing about being worthy of the gospel is hard. It really is. Now, I suffered so much, didn't I, when I slammed that thing down and had to be humiliated. But that's really not what Paul is talking about here. Paul's talking about Jesus' life and Jesus' example. He assumes that here and elsewhere that we as followers of Jesus have to follow the example of Jesus. If we're going to live a life worthy of the gospel, then we have to suffer. And guys, when you say, well, I have a nagging wife, ladies, when you say, well, he doesn't do anything, that must be my cross to bear. That isn't your cross to bear. That isn't what this is about. What this is about is letting go of your rights. Letting go of your status. Letting go of your position. Letting go of all of the stuff and all of the things that come your way by virtue of your talent, by virtue of your birth, by virtue of anything other than Jesus Christ. Let go of it. Paul Paul says that we shouldn't put up with the backlash reluctantly. Suffering for the sake of Christ is a gift of grace. It's His grace to us. One of the questions that people throw out there is, how come we don't see miracles today? How come we don't see great revivals like they did for Peter and Paul? How come we don't see the working of God in the same way? Because I really believe it's because we have not taken the gospel as seriously as Paul did, as seriously as the Scripture calls us to. And when people begin to do that, the work of God breaks out in amazing ways. Paul is calling the Philippian church and us to be united in one spirit and one purpose, to be ready to suffer for Christ, to share the good news of the kingdom of God to all of humanity. That's what Paul meant by worthy. So the question is, are you worthy? Did you all receive one of these when you came into the room? Mike, did you get one of these? You got one, okay. Very carefully, there's a very thin, clear part to the top. You can take that out. As Carol says, you can get Jesus out from there. And then that purple part, if you peel that back carefully, you'll have access to the juice. For those of you who are at home, this is the time for you to have your bread and juice ready. Those of you who are here, you can take your mask off. I'm not going to try and make you do magic through shoving it through the cloth there. Do you need some help, Mona? You got it. Let's all give Mona a big hand. She got it. Okay. On the night that Jesus was betrayed, as he gathered with his followers at the table, he took the bread, he blessed it. Gracious God, we lift up this host to you. We ask that you bless it, that you use it to deepen our commitment, our life, make us worthy of your gospel. He said, take it and eat it, and as you do, remember Jesus. That goes a treat. Now, after the bread, Jesus took the cup. He blessed it. Gracious God, we lift this cup to you. We ask that as we partake of the juice of the wine or whatever it is, God, we pray that you would use it to draw us deeper and closer to you. We receive this in remembrance of Jesus. I think Tanner's having troubles with the cup back there. Would you all stand, please? Replace your masks. for a benediction, would you lift your hands? One towards God, one towards your neighbor. Now, Mike is standing over there. He's pushing his neighbor away. There you go. One towards God, one towards your neighbor, because everything that you receive from God isn't intended for you to keep. Now, Mike just wants to push you away. God intends for every blessing, everything that He gives you, for you to share and give to someone else. See if you can't become so empty of giving that you have no more to give. My experience has been God just keeps on giving. So as you leave this place, be worthy of the gospel. Give that worthiness to others, that the world can see that you are a member of the kingdom of God. Lord peace in Jesus' name. Amen. Let's join the team in singing "We Are One in the Spirit." We changed the last verse to the last verse instead of the second verse, so that we're not, hand in hand. We can, you'll see as we go. Let's sing.